People have asked me on more than one occasion why I continue to use a bulky laptop, their words not mine, in place of a tablet computer. And I've honestly never felt compelled enough to purchase and try out a tablet. A laptop, such as my ThinkPad, is able to meet and exceed all of my expectations for portable computing despite being over 7 years old. So this is my ThinkPad, a ThinkPad R60, the very same one that made an appearance in one of my earlier videos about a year ago, and it's essentially the same computer. The only transgression that recently befell it was that of, well, pardon the pun, of it falling down the stairs, which ended up causing this plastic bezel, this palm rest, to break, and it did shear off one of the screws, so it's loose. But this broke off here, and with it also took the USB port over on the side. Thankfully it was just the one, but I've yet to actually see about possibly fixing or repairing it, but it's probably more trouble than it's worth. And I have two USB ports here that work just fine, so it's not a huge problem to me. With that having been said, however, I did at least want to see what all the fuss was about, and at the very most use one as a crude but workable alternative to a dedicated internet radio receiver. And if memory serves correct, this is running supposedly the latest version of Android. That is Android 5.1 Lollipop. And we can see it's mentioning here of its various capabilities: Google Play Store, Gmail, Google Maps, Google Chrome, Google Play, and the list goes on and on. And interestingly, I've never seen that logo used for the camera. I think that is one of their own logos, because a really irrelevant observation, but one nonetheless. You can see how high quality the Chrome logo is, and then compare that to this camera logo and how pixelated it happens to be. It includes the case and the keyboard, which is a nice little bonus, so you actually are ready from the get-go to start using this thing as purportedly a netbook or laptop replacement. And it claims that it's extra fast quad-core processor. Android 5.1 Lollipop. It's got a 1.2 gigahertz processor. The Rockchip 3126 quad-core processor. Yes, 8 gigabytes of internal flash, expandable up to 32 gigabytes by way of a micro SD card slot. 512 megabytes of RAM. A 7-inch TFT display, touchscreen with a resolution of 800 by 480, and 802.11 BGN wireless networking. Opening up the box will reveal to us a foam insert here, which I presume to help absorb any shock from transportation. There's the tablet in this little plastic bag, and then we have this inserted miniature box within a box sort of thing, which is probably going to be asking a bit too much in an attempt to try to remove it while on camera. And we have a limited product warranty card, which actually has Curtis International was the company which actually manufactured this unit. We'll have to see how well this tablet actually works, and if I don't end up scattering its associated reading materials all across the floor. Opening up this internal box will reveal the keyboard and tablet cover, carrying case with a foam insert in the tablet's position. We have the keyboard here, which is most likely going to take a fair bit of getting used to, especially after I've grown accustomed to typing away on a nice big old vintage mechanical keyboard. And it has a micro USB connection, and you do have a picture frame stand here, so if you want to use it as a sort of netbook or laptop or even a DVD player, such as it may be, you can do so. Some of the other accessories include a micro USB cable, of which I'm not a huge fan. Micro USB tends to be very finicky, as well as very temperamental, and not at all a robust connector. You get a 5 volt, 2 amp AC to DC adapter from some no-name electronics company made in China. Not all that long ago, though. It was manufactured in September of 2015, and as of the recording of this video, it's a day shy of Halloween 2015. And that is the extent of the accessories included with this tablet. So I believe it's now time to reveal the main star of the show. That is the tablet itself. You have a small front-facing camera, which I assume to be for video chatting purposes. I don't really see any useful purpose for having a front-facing camera for video recording purposes, because if you want to record something, you're going to have to hold the screen away from you, so you're not even going to be able to monitor what you're recording. A little bit dusty. There was actually a protective cover that had a decent amount of fingerprints and smear marks that were not from me, and this is a new item as far as I can tell and hadn't been returned to the store, so maybe somebody was just snacking a little while they were in the midst of packaging this thing up for shipment. It's a bit odd having the front-facing camera in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. I would have at least expected it perhaps on the topmost portion of it, which seems to be the standard with most tablets. You can see on the bottom we have volume controls, the 5-volt DC input, which I assume to be for a 5-volt DC input, which is for charging purposes, as well as the micro USB connection. It'll be interesting to see if this micro USB cable can be used to charge this device in addition to relying upon the 5-volt AC to DC adapter. You have a 3.5mm stereo headphone output, a power button which is minuscule. On the rear of the unit we do have a very small speaker here, not stereo of course, and you can see it Proscan. Does have an FCC ID for the wireless radio, and you can see that we have a reset button here and a micro SD card slot, which will prove to be useful when and if you need to expand the memory, because if memory serves correct, I believe that you have 4 gigabytes at your disposal after all of the system software and resources are installed from the factory. I think you're only supposed to hold this button, and then we will get indication on the screen if it's powering up. Powered by Android, which conveniently disappeared off the screen right as I zoomed into it. And this is where the fun begins. In addition to having a magnetic clasp here for keeping it closed, this is most likely used for a varying amount of tablet models, perhaps by Curtis International, perhaps also for use with other tablets of the same size and form factor, because you can see that this little claw here extends and adjusts as needed to accommodate larger size tablets. Now it wants us to select our language. This is United States English, so I take it. Full disclosure, of course, I did go ahead and take this unit out of the box and take it for a test run yesterday evening for about an hour, and from my limited testing and going through this initial setup procedure, it was not at all satisfactory. It was moving slower than molasses for some reason. That most certainly isn't a promising sign. It must be trying to update itself, and okay, now process system isn't responding. You want to close that? I guess so. Okay, just a sec. Well, that just closed out the payment options screen that it showed me originally, where you have to enter in your credit card details or your PayPal, or just select Remind Me Later. Actually looks like it's cutting a bit off of the display so that it can show this black bar up on the top that shows you pertinent information in relation to your tablet. Now Google Play Newsstand has stopped responding. This certainly does not bode well for this tablet. And I think that we're now at what they call the home screen. So we have some controls down here. The one on the left is for taking screenshots, some volume controls which are useless to me and won't ever be taken advantage of because I'll just use the hardware volume controls on the side. We have backward buttons, the home button, and the currently running tasks view, or whatever they call it on Android, so you could view what's running and close it out. Another volume up control. Have our button here which isn't going to respond to our command because it's trying to load up a bunch of widgets and icons and background processes, but we just got the time. This microphone up here is for enabling the voice search option of Google. These icons look to be pretty clear. They look just fine, as you would expect. I don't know what's really going on with this Google Play Music icon, if that's supposed to be that way. But then if you come over here, and it might not be too obvious at first on the camera, but if you look at these icons on the right, they're blurrier and they don't look... there's just something about them that doesn't look right. These look just fine, but these are all blurry. And now it's time for me to show you what I absolutely dread and loathe about this tablet. And I certainly hope that other Android tablets are not following in this one's footsteps, because you can see I just tried to drag down this bar up here and it's lagging. I don't know what it's doing now. I'll click Google Chrome. I'll click Google Chrome. I will click Google Chrome. Maybe it's trying to run it. Maybe it's just going to think about it for a few minutes. Not too sure what the delay is. This claims to be, once again, claims to be fast, dual core, or quad core. So I don't know what the discrepancy is. But it's certainly not fast. You can see it's trying to load up Chrome now, and probably would be a good idea to familiarize myself with the manual. See, it shows you how to click, tap and hold. It would turn on the options list, slide, drag, double click, and shut. And some other information in here. Surprisingly, there's no signs of English in here. I wasn't expecting that, so I actually went to the trouble of writing an English manual that somebody can actually understand. And what is it trying to do now? I was waiting for it to open up Chrome, and now it's opening up Sheets. That's not what I wanted it to do. And I guarantee now it's going to have Google Sheets running and a bunch of other things, which I do not want to be running right now. You can see I press this button. This stupid thing. No, what was that? It just brought up the task view for a moment. Yep. I don't know why it's running email. I didn't ask it to. And I don't know why it's running Google Sheets. I want Google Chrome. Google. I'm trying to withhold taking out my frustration on this tablet by chucking it halfway across the room, but this isn't a good sign. This tablet is not bogged down, as far as I can tell. I just got it. I'm pressing the search here. It's not bringing up the keyboard. It just is flashing the symbol. I guess, though, that's because I have the keyboard attached, which I did discover has no power button, because once you connect it up to the micro USB port, it automatically powers on. So that's why they have that 5-volt DC input, because when you're using the keyboard, there's no way for you to charge the device otherwise. But I will type in my channel name on YouTube. This keyboard is just terrible. Look at how ridiculously small that spacebar is, but that's a problem shared by every other tablet keyboard maker and manufacturer these days, because they're trying to fit within the small, keep within the small size of a tablet, but obviously that's not too well suited for those who like to have proper keyboards. And it looks like it loaded, and I don't know what the strange background is, if that's just the version of Chrome it's running, or if that's something that's just specific to this tablet. But we will try to scroll here, attempt to scroll. Let's just try doing this now. I want to go to the home screen. And it's going to sit there and think about it. Android 5.1.1, PLT7650G, and what is it doing now? I want to go back. Oh, you can't use the backspace to go back in Android. I'm not used to. And we have a bunch of notifications up here. Let's see what that could be. 6 updates. It's trying to update everything all at once. Let's see what it's trying to tell me here. I don't know why it's doing this now. It's authentication is required. You need to sign into your Google account. I already did. And it's showing that I'm signed in here, so what is it? Forget this. We'll just go to the Play Store and try to download something. It took a bit of trying, but I did get Google Play Store to open up. It kept giving me that sign-on authentication required message, and I just kept trying to retry it, and it finally loaded now, so we'll try something here. Pandora. Pandora. Did it take it? Yes, it did. It just took forever. And we'll try downloading it now. Again, I really am having a hard time dealing with the lag on this thing. Just trying to load emails up now. I was contemplating not using my main Google account because I don't want to get inundated with notifications every time somebody emails me or sends me a comment on YouTube. But just for testing purposes, I figured it wouldn't be too troublesome, but I think it's proving that. You can see it's showing up a bunch of notifications here, and it's downloading. I think if I so much as breathed on this thing, this keyboard would just blow apart into a million little pieces. It's very, very flimsy. Very flimsy. So, if you want to get a better keyboard, you'll have to find one that's a Bluetooth model that you should be able to connect up to this device. And then you won't have to use this connector here either. And I'm reaching here for a touchpad, and there's no touchpad. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I am pretty sure that this does not have a Bluetooth radio in it. It has airplane mode, auto rotate, location, and Wi-Fi. But if I try to go into the settings here, you'll see that where wireless networks, there's no option for any sort of a Bluetooth device. There's just airplane mode and VPN, display, storage, bunch of other stuff, but nothing as far as I can tell for Bluetooth. So that must be why it came with this keyboard, because you can't use a Bluetooth keyboard with this device, which is going to be the majority of those found online and in stores. So they give you this one that uses the micro USB connection. So I can kiss goodbye trying to use this Bluetooth speaker with this device. I don't know if it's too obvious, but you can probably get a look at just how bad and awful that camera is. It's right over there, and everything looks a sickly shade of black and white. Very contrasty. You could switch over to video mode, which I don't know who would actually use this thing for video recording, but we'll do it nonetheless. So this is a video. There's the handy cam on this terrible front-facing camera. It doesn't work at all. And we'll stop that. Usually at least some Android phones, or at least that one that I've used before with an iHome, it has a little thing down here that lets you review the video or photos you've just taken, but I guess that's not the case. Now how do we get to the home screen? There we go. Well, that didn't sound promising. The ThinkPad's going dead. Here's a running tally of all the programs and applications that are pre-installed with this tablet. Again, I don't know why you get some no-name browser when everyone's probably going to use Chrome, or one that they can find on the Play Store. Calculator, clock, Google settings, shortcut for going to the online help, which is not going to work now because this is in airplane mode. Let's see if this goes back. It won't go back to that menu. Go back to the home screen, please, and thank you. So you can see we have a bunch of different programs installed from the factory. Oh, there we go. We can go into video now and watch that video we just took a moment ago. This is a video. There's the handy cam on this terrible front-facing camera. It doesn't work at all. It does have an internal microphone. It doesn't sound too terribly bad, at least if you're intending to use this with Skype calls. I'm pretty sure that I didn't open this, but it's playing music. Probably can remove this now. Take a listen to how bad that speaker is. But I didn't really expect any better. This is a $50 tablet. This clasp here keeps falling down, so I have to keep sticking it behind the tablet so it doesn't obstruct the view. And okay, let's try typing now on this minuscule sorry excuse for a keyboard. Yes, as you can tell, I am very dissatisfied with this keyboard. Especially when you get used to clacking away on this nice monstrosity with an actual tactile response and keys with locations that you can actually remember. This is just very clunky and clumsy when it comes to accessing any of the utilities and apps. It's just it wasn't a very well thought out approach. I don't know what in particular causes this to be so slow and sluggish, but I just press Chrome now And you can see it's going to take an age and a half to load. Okay, it's trying to bring up Proscan Video's website. I just clicked that to search. It's still trying to load up the website. It's not allowing me to access it. Can I type? Nope. It's still trying to load. Come on. And let's try searching this. I just pressed enter. And there's your proof of how responsive, or the lack thereof. Yeah, that's taking quite an Alright, just search for Proscan and then the model of this. And it's just sitting there and thinking about it. It's been doing so for about the past minute. And it's trying to load it, because if I try to click the address bar, this isn't even trying to load a website. I'm doing a Google web search, which should not be taking this long. So this thing is getting returned to the store just as soon as I possibly can, because it's absolute garbage and I don't intend to use it for anything. So if you want my honest to goodness opinion, it's still trying to load it. You've got to be kidding me. If you want my honest to goodness opinion about this tablet, well, I won't be keeping it in my possession any longer. In fact, this is going to be getting returned to the store from which it was purchased as early as tomorrow.